Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Pavel here from Better World International, and my special guests today, it's Melati and Isabel, environmental activists from Bali who committed everything to stop using plastic bags, and they really did some really cool stuff. So I think it's going to be a very interesting interview. And as a result of their perseverance, the governor of Bali has signed to make the island free of plastic bags by 2018. Besides their young age, they are awesome and they are well-known speakers in different forums such as TED and members of Rotary International as well. Girls, it's great to have a fellow dreamers on the interview. I saw your TED and when we saw that we said with a team, we need to speak with those girls. So that was pretty cool. Just to let you know, girls, that we believe all over the world we have the part of the people that we call dreamers. And those dreamers are those people who going to change the world. And I think you are a perfect example of the generation. I have the dream generation, which actually making a difference. So it's great. I was amazed by your efforts but how much you were able to put into this mission. So it's my pleasure, girls, and I think it's going to be awesome interview.
Thank you.
So girls, from the current things, I know this month you made the trip to Jakarta and visited a school program focused on environmental awareness. So how does it feel to have your efforts recognized by, and inspiring youth all over the world?
I think especially because bioplastic bags really just started at home on the bench. Just as a simple idea, what can we do to start with one thing? And that from starting up to becoming one idea to this international movement that it's now become, youth empowerment has become one of our favorite deals. So sharing our passions with the youths in the trips that we do and the presentations that we do is really as one of the most enjoying parts of bioplastic bags for me.
Yeah, definitely youth power and giving the presentations, because we're so lucky to be, educated on these topics and of, plastic pollution and stuff, and we should be able to share it with those that don't have it. And I think education's, the root of everything. So if we can change the education system, we can raise a whole new generation of change makers. And I think that's really important, to start with the young people as well.
When starting up the Bye Bye Plastic Bags project, what made you be interested in the issue of the waste disposal and environment in the first place?
Yeah, so Isabel and I, we're Bali babies. We're born and raised on this beautiful, beautiful island. And being 10 and 12 at the time, it didn't take a genius to look around and see that plastic garbage was generally affecting our everyday lives. We went to the beach every Sunday, every day. We live 100 meters from the beach. And so we'd be swimming in the plastic, or we'd be surfing in the plastic, or we'd go on walks or runs just like we did just now. And plastic bags were everywhere, and generally plastic garbage. But maybe why we chose plastic bags, Well?
I think the reason that we chose plastic bags is because after doing, a lot of research and just being out there in the world, we realized, that plastic is a huge problem, and it's definitely a global problem. And so, we decided to leave it to the big people. And so that's why we started with plastic bags, because we know that's a realistic step. So that's why we started.
Yeah.
Okay. I also saw on the TED, what was your inspiration to do that? Could you share few words about this one?
Yeah, so that's a nice story. That's our inspiration story. So we go to one of the most amazing schools on the entire world, and it's called Green School. And this school is entirely made out of bamboo. I mean, if you look at it, probably the first glance would definitely not be, oh, that's a school, because of how beautiful it looks, made out of bamboo, completely in the jungle. And we had a lesson about significant people.
Yeah. So people like, Nelson Mandela, Lady Diana, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King, and all of those amazing people. And, we were really inspired by how they left a really positive impact on the world. And so we started thinking, what can we do as kids on the island of Bali. And like Melati said, we'd go out and to the beach for a run or anything, and we'd see plastic everywhere. And so I think that's when we really started thinking, okay, we've got to do something about this, and I think it's definitely that lesson was definitely the final push for us to get it, but I think it was a combination of everything that really got us aware, the school we go to, the way we were raised by our parents, the friends we surround ourselves with, and, just a little bit of everything.
So, in case of the plastic bag, what kind of damages plastic bags cause for environment? For example, what would happen in the 10 years if we don't take an action now?
Here in Bali, a lot of the people, for example, this is one, they burn the plastic. So they often gather all the plastic together and they light it on fire, and they don't necessarily know the negative effects of it. And, it releases chemicals and sometimes cancer-causing chemicals that are just really unhealthy for our health, and everybody breathes in that toxic smoke. And another thing is littering. That's one of the most obvious ones. Especially here in Indonesia, everything used to be wrapped around in banana leaves. They would buy food, it would be wrapped in banana leaf, and they could just throw it away and it'd be organic, it'd be okay. And I think they still have that mindset that they can just throw it and everything will be okay, but the packaging has changed into plastic, which is not so good.
And also, think about the big headlines, newspaper articles, or titles even of more trash than fish in the oceans by 2050. That article went viral, and that was the world buzz, right? People were thinking, how can we lead to this fate if in our lifetime, 2050. So that's within our lifetime. I'm still going to be alive. You're still going to be alive. How are we going to let that happen within our lifetime? That was a big wake-up call to see if, hey, there's more plastic than fish in the ocean. That's not how it's supposed to be at all.
Is it any other problems that you saw in case of the wildlife besides than fish? And so did animals eat those plastic bags?
We were just coming also back from a trip to the US. It was the first time in the States, and we went to Monterey and San Francisco to do a presentation. We were keynote speakers at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and that aquarium was really beautiful, and it did show a lot of the marine life. They had an entire section on plastic pollution and marine debris, and we saw the bird, albatross birds, right? There was a viral picture again that showed that albatross birds have plastic within their stomachs. And here in Bali, we see turtles wrapped in plastic nets. We see the fishes eating the plastic, all these microplastics. And that all the way leads up back to the chain.
Yeah, and when fish eat it, eventually humans will eat those fish, and then we're eating plastic as well. So it's not really a healthy cycle.
My question also is, for example, in case of the dealing with this trash, it was that because the people they had a habit of throwing things away, or actually the Bali didn't have the infrastructure of dealing with the trash? What was the cause of the problem?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of everything. It's definitely not that they can't tell the difference between a banana leaf and a plastic bag, right? No, I think it's also a lot that Bali's development has been happening on such a rapid pace and scale, and there was not a lot of thought going into the waste management, which is definitely 100% lacking on this island. So, waste management, government regulations, that's not implemented here in Bali, which in other countries we see, if there's a firm set of regulations implemented and set from the government, it can work. But here it's many loose ends, and that's what Bioplastic Bags is trying to do with working from the ground up. So from the students, the workers, the teachers, all the way up to the politics, the governments working there. And we have to make it all work together, because right now nothing is happening, and we need to take it from all sort of angles, education, but also political regulations.
I would like you girls to tell us how you actually convinced the governor, and is any actions were taken in case also with creating the infrastructure for dealing with the trash?
So now we see more and more that the governments are starting to put bins everywhere, but then that's where the education then needs to kick in, right? The connections, putting the dots together, and the bins are there, but the education is not there. So we're moving step by step, but everything here takes time, a lot of repetition, and just changing that mindset that everybody has locked in so firmly.
Okay, so the story about convincing the governor, I think it's pretty amazing story.
Like we said in our TED Talk, it was quite a big milestone for us because for the first 1.5, 2 years of campaigning, we still didn't meet with the governor. So when we were in India for our first international talk, we got to visit Mahatma Gandhi's private house and museum, as he was one of our, inspirations. And it was really cool. We got to see, how he reached his goals and how he lived his life. And the way he would reach his goals was often by a march or by a hunger strike. And so we met our parents again, and we were like, Mom, Dad, we're going on a hunger strike. And they were like, whoa, hold up.
That idea reached a lot of resistance from, our parents, but it wasn't only our parents. It was also our friends and the team even. We had family calling up from around the world, and they were all saying, don't do it. This is way too far. But Isabel and I were really serious about doing this, so we came up with a compromise to do a food strike from sunrise to sunset every day until the governor of Bali would agree to meet with us. And we went on the first day, and I can still remember, waking up with the purpley orange sky, really beautiful. And then the second day started, and we already got a call from the government's assistant saying, hello, this is the assistant of the governor, but he's not on the island at the moment, but he would love to have a meeting with you two girls. And then on the third day, our parents took us early from school, and we were like, where are we going? And they're like, we're going to the office of the governor. And it was really amazing. He was like super supportive from the moment we stepped into his office, and he signed a memorandum of understanding to help and support the people of Bali to work towards a plastic bag-free Bali by 2018. So now we work very closely with the government, especially the head of environments, BLH, here in Bali we call it, and the head of environments, Bapak Suarjana, he's a clear visionary, and he knows what to do. And since we've been working with him, we've seen a lot of motivation be stirred around the government, and a lot of progress has been done. And to continue off of that, maybe we talk about the paying for plastic?
Yeah, and actually just recently we see the first steps happening to their promise is that on the 21st of February this year, around 23 cities, I believe, in Indonesia had to enforce a sort of test phase to start paying for plastic, which we believe is really the first step to a final no to single-use plastic bags. And Denpasar city in Bali is one of them. So it's a huge milestone reached, and
it reached a lot of resistance, this policy, in Indonesia, and it also blew up a little bit in the media where people were saying that it wasn't such a great idea. But actually a survey was conducted and an article was released by Jakarta Globe that the survey asked how people were digesting this new policy, and the public responded with a 97% positive response to this new enforced policy, which really shows that we're very aware of the plastic problem, and we're very happy to see that the steps we're taking to say no to plastic bags, which we thought was a very amazing step.
I understand you had the petition and you had a lot of people sign up the petition, but so I understand that didn't help to actually meet with the governor, and so you girls needed to hunger strike, and so that was something that they start treating you seriously?
Well, it wasn't the signatures. It could have worked if we would have probably reached like 100,000 sooner, but it was just taking too long, and it was already 1.5 years that we've been trying to meet with the governor, and we thought, how can we take this to the next step? How can we think creatively outside of the box? Something that will actually grab his attention, and that was the intention of the food strike.
Okay, that's definitely makes sense. The biggest obstacle on the way.
I think one of the obstacles that we're still facing, already faced a while back, and probably will still face, is the commitment of team members. Sometimes, because we're getting to the age of like teenagers, and we want to go to the mall on the weekend or have a sleepover, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to walk our talk and devote most of our weekends for bye-bye. And I think that's a big obstacle because a lot of our team members are coming in and out because it's all on a volunteer base. I think that's definitely one obstacle, is getting the commitment of the team members.
Yeah, and keep it sort of going in the community of Bali because we've been here for 3 years. Everybody knows us already. They're kind of almost tired of hearing about bioplastic bags, so sort of keeping it alive and making sure that the community is still with us, supporting us, and to keep it going, to keep the momentum up.
And, to keep it working on a long term.
I also read that you are running a pilot village that aims to transform into a plastic bag free zone. Can you tell us a few words about how that pilot works?
Yeah, so we have a pilot village that we run for about 1.5 years now as well. It's going really good. It consists of around 800 families, and it took us 3 months at the beginning to get the green lights and the approval from the local authorities to start. But once we did, our first action was to give around a set of 3 reusable bags to every Indonesian registered family, so PKK, we call them here. Once we did that, we could see all of the locals using our bags, and then it still keeps us busy every weekend, and we go with a small team of volunteers and we hand out reusable bags to the shops and customers so they don't have to use plastic bags, and we show them a solution and an alternative to plastic bags, and it's really good. The shops aren't like completely plastic bag free, but most of them have reduced the use of plastic bags they're giving out by 60-70%.
And the mayor of this village, the one we started off with, he was stepped down, and then a new one came up, and the whole regulations and everything changed. So that's why we have to work even harder, put even more energy and time into the pilot village, which is really good that we also started with doing socializations with the kids early on, because all the kids know us there, and they also join with us. They fly the Balinese kite that we've made with bioplastic bags. So it's good that we have that all angles approach again.
Thank you for that. And now I want to ask about the steps and what we could do to support not only you, but to support the plastic-free future. Okay, let's say that we have, a lot of people who want to support the cause, who want to, support and be, get rid of not only get rid of the plastic bags, but also start creating different future. What do you think, what the people should start? Like, if we could talk about 5 steps, step by step, what they can do today to support that, to make a difference?
Well, I think the first step is to either, get a reusable bag, that you could use, or make your own reusable bags out of old t-shirts. And you can do that. That could definitely be the first step too.
But it's so easy, right? And it really shows that there's no excuse to take a plastic bag anymore, because alternatives and solutions are around the corner. We just have to open our eyes. And so the second, another step would be, to start, it has to start with yourself. You have to become the solution. Educating yourself on all of the solutions possible. Of course, it would be amazing to just lead a plastic-free lifestyle the next morning you wake up, but it needs to take time and a step-to-step elimination of plastic. So what we started off with was, of course, saying no to plastic bags, right? And because there are so many plastic items, start with that one thing. And then you go after the plastic bottles and the plastic packaging, lessen that. And then another good step is to educate other people around you, because that impact that you as an individual have to a society is so powerful that we should use it to our full advantage and make sure that every single one of our voices are being heard.
Okay, so how the people can start right now? It's reusable bags right now, and they can start educating themselves and educate others. So this is the one. What else? Let's convince governments all over the world. I think the petition works, or what? For example, imagine that we have 1 million people community. What this 1 million community should do to do this?
Well, we could create definitely something online, because that's one way we can connect millions of people and bring them together and join them together. And what would be really cool because what we have right now, bioplastic bags is going global, right? Just as a side note to link into this. And we have country coordinators in every country. For example, Australia, we have someone there who's leading a bioplastic bags. In Myanmar, in Nepal, we've got one in New York. If all of our country coordinators would we go under one letter, right? Convincing their government to say no to plastic bags and to support that law. And we got 1,000 people to share it and to add their own, this is my contributions, something like that. Create a social media campaign under hashtag say no to plastic bags and tag a government official on it. That would be something really powerful, because social media in general is such a big platform to spread social change, and it's worked in previous campaigns all over the world.
What would need to happen so if we could organize the competition between cities all over the world, which first going to become plastic free? So how something like this, what would need to happen? So what I'm interested in, for example, I was talking because we also touched the homelessness subject, and in Utah they deal with the homelessness and they had a success of 90%. So they decrease amount of homeless people by 90%. And we called the governor and we had the interview, and he actually said that, the online petition, he thinks it's not that good idea, but if the governments would start receiving with the many petitions, but thousands of petitions by one, like let's say, so 1,000 people sent 1,000 letters. He told me that it might have much more significant impact for the government than the one big kind of stuff. So, what do you think? What's your experience with those things?
I think for every sort of country and government, it's going to be different, because there are different behaviors and respects and way of going and with rules and regulations for each government. But I think, yeah, it definitely has an impact if 1,000 people send 1,000 different petitions, or all going for the same cause, right? I think we'd have to think more in depth about that, but definitely multiple thousands, millions of people coming under one umbrella. Yeah. Because often we see so many times happening, even now in Bali, there are a lot of splinter projects, and that never works unless people unite and come together and work together as one platform or one idea, standing for many different ideas.
I think the zero waste world is possible. Of course, we're going to start from the city and by city, but if we're going to approach this seriously from the collective perspective, as you said. Okay, so from your experience, the best way to reaching government, social media and tagging them.
Yeah, and being sure that being persistent, we deliver letters all the time. We handwrite the letters. We go to the offices. I mean, it's become very normal for us to be there on a Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, sitting with the head of environments. So the persistence and the commitment, I think, shocked the government to say, hey, these people, they won't go away. If we show them that we're serious, this is not a one-time thing where this is not for just a picture. We need a plan, and we're here for the long run. You have to show what you stand for and stick with it until the government start noticing you, and never give up, because in one way or the other, they're bound to see you. And that's where social media kicks in. That's where the support from the community kicks in. But all of that, persistence and commitment, strongest points.
If you would develop the collective goal for the plastic bags, how we can measure that? Can we measure this in amount of the trash and plastic bags?
So a measurable goal, what our idea was with the pilot village, is to start with one village or one city, wherever you live in. Make that a pilot village. Test out how your plan is going to work there. And then use that as a model to replicate throughout the country, throughout the island. And that was our ideal intention with the pilot village. So that can be handy, and that can be, like you said, we need to have goals, and that's so important to make them also realistic and measurable.
Yes. So may I ask you, for example, when you were do the beach cleanup, so you put this plastic bag in containers. Do you anyhow measure this, how much you cleaned?
Okay, so when we do a beach cleanup, our last one was we did it around 45 minutes with just over, I think, 100 people. Collected around 750 kilos of trash.
So that's insane. 300, 400 meters, not even, 200, 300 meters long.
and we got that much trash out of it.
It was also a really busy beach where a lot of people were watching what we were doing and eventually joining in. So,
yeah, and all of our trash, we usually put it in bags provided by a recycling center, and then later on we give them the trash and they recycle all of it.
They're one of our partners called Eco Bali here, and they're one of the only recycle centers in Bali. So I think that's also really important if we do a world cleanup, to make sure that that loop is closed, that you take the trash from the ocean or the beach and you put it into a responsible waste recycling center or waste management center so that it doesn't end up back on the beach, right?
Yeah, but also like beach cleanups we find are a great tool and a great way to raise awareness, but we don't find it the final solution. Yeah, on the short term it's great, you clean it up and the beach is clean, but on the long term it's not actually the best. It's a great tool and general awareness, but yeah.
Cool. So in Bali, locals contributed reusable bags made of 100% recyclable materials. How did you get your community to become so involved? What efforts need to be made to gain this sort of participation in a community?
These bags were made by another initiative on the island called Avani, and
I think there were already a lot of projects and initiatives out there doing recycled bags, reusable bags, but after bioplastic bags and the general more heightened awareness of saying no to plastic bags, a lot of the alternative bag initiatives started popping up, and we see more and more businesses, right? Green businesses of alternative bags, reusable bags, because that's where the real innovator, social entrepreneurism really lies. And I think maybe what you might be referring to, although they're not reusable, but they're recycled. So we get local women in the mountains of Bali who don't earn an income and are just sitting at home and don't have a job and maybe doing the offerings, but really want to earn an income for their families. We provide them with a job where they can create alternative bags made from recycled newspaper. And with that, we can provide them with our small budget, we can provide them a small income. And they're happy to do that. And we then distribute these bags, these recycled newspaper bags, into our pilot village. Closed loop, and we involve everybody, because that's something that we find so important, is including everybody in the solution, because we're all a part of the solution.
In our pilot village rounds, we hand out these reusable bags to the shops for free, but in the long run, we hope to see that they will start providing reusable bags for themselves.
And our next step is actually to get a system going within the pilot village and educate the women there so that they can do it themselves on an ongoing basis. Because all we need to really provide them with is the recycled newspaper that the 16 million tourists come to Bali with the newspaper from the airport or from their hotel room, right? We just need to provide them a station where they can collect it.
If we're talking about the people all over the world, how we can exchange the plastic bags for? We can do it with the t-shirt and reusable newspapers. What else the people, how we can stop even buying or taking those plastic bags, and how we can, right now, what we can create it from, and maybe there are some others ideas how to use reusable?
Well, here in Bali, we see a lot of innovative things. So we have, do you know rice paper bags? Have you seen those? They're super cool. You should check them out. They're these local farmers, right? They carry their rice in these rice mats. I don't know how to call them. Rice mats, we'll call them, right? Well, these are really strong material. Let's create an alternative bag. So those are quite hip here in Bali. We also see net bags. They're made out of recycled plastic. And there's also another one that people can create on their own, which is actually taking the plastic bags that they've used before, saying no to plastic bags, and they can there's a technique that you can weave the plastic bags and make an alternative bag that you can reuse, and is way stronger than a single plastic
and much
bag.
more beautiful.
So in Bali here, there's a program where, again, young girls are provided with plastic bags, and they weave these bags and then sell them.
You know, you've both shown a talent in getting those, people to listen to you. And so how should the youth, all of the world, address their concerns? Like what the youth should do? What would you tell them? What would be the piece of advice for the youth, to be the people of the future?
This is always my favorite question. I love this question.
Yeah, and I definitely, it doesn't always have to be about plastic bags. The kids just need to find their passion and go for it. And I think the first step is definitely creating a supporting team around you. Mm-hmm. Because what we learned about these 3 years of campaigning is that you definitely can't do it yourself. Getting a nice, strong team around you that really can support you is definitely the first step. And then the second step would probably be to set, like you said, measurable goals and set yourself a timeline so it doesn't drag on too long. SMART goals, like we call them.
Never give up. That's so important. Never give up. And it doesn't matter how many times people pull you back or won't let you grow and fly. You have to believe in yourself and make sure that the people you surround yourself with, allow you to grow and they believe in you as well. And I think having fun, go out there, change the world and have fun. Always think outside the box. Bring out that child in you because, don't be afraid of failure. You need to have that courageous warrior child inside of you that, you go for it. Just go for that extra mile and don't ever give up.
Step number 1, it's finding something that you're passionate about. Step number 2, find supporting team around you, and by supporting team I mean the teammates, your friends, and also the family, right?
Yeah, anybody.
Teachers. 3, set up the measurable goals, and number 4, never give up. How you girls see your future in case of your lives in the future as activists, because you are already doing amazing job. So how do you see your life going to go? How do you think? You're going to world travelers and talking and changing the world?
Yeah, for me, I definitely love activism work and I'm never going to let it go. But one of the really cool ways I found to raise awareness is through performing arts. And I definitely want to go more towards that path in life of performing art.
Awesome.
Yeah, Isabel believes very much in sharing message through music, dance, performance. And she's amazing at it. Really good. A lady with fire.
Awesome.
And where I come in, where I see myself is, I participated with a group of green school students when I went to the COP and the Koi, also representing plastic bags. That experience sharpened my vision and what path I am now on. Is really sticking with youth empowerment, environmental activism, standing up for human rights, all of that. I really enjoy 100% all that I put into it, and that's where I see myself going into.
Definitely, Melati is such an important, I feel, youth ambassador for environment, humanity, animals, or whatever, because she really always has a pure intention, to go for it and make that extra mile. And she has an amazing amount of commitment all the time. Yeah, and the drive to do things that she believes is right.
I feel like we're in a very sisterly mood.
Girls, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today was Melati and Isabel from Bye Bye Plastic Bag from Bali. And as you heard, it's going to be global. It's becoming. It's on the way to be global initiative right now. So below you're going to find the links. Girls, what the people can explore. Webpage, what else?
Check out our website or Facebook. Go like some videos that we've done with our team. We've got a lot of fun things, funky things for you to watch and to share around.
Thank you very much. That was a pleasure. And yes, and I think we're going to, probably on the way of changing the world. It's probably not our last meeting. So probably you girls going to be somewhere there and Better World International as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's Bali here waving to you guys.